That's a pretty big trunk on my Lincoln Town car, ain't it?
Hi guys, as I mentioned, I'm going to do a video blog answering the questions from the competition that most of you have received through my very annoying text messages that you get every Sunday. So thank you for bearing with me on that. I'm going to try and answer these questions as unrehearsed as possible, just to give it that kind of real flavour. So I'm going to announce the winner of the competition at the end and say obviously what question it is that they've given that I find so insightful as to warrant winning the pleasure of being created as a character in my next short story installment. So I'll try and keep this relatively brief, so let me get right to it. Oh yeah, for those who are wondering, this is not my room, by the way. J. Cole is a G, but there's actually a lot of renovations going on in my house, so I had to find a quiet space where I can express myself to you. So let's get right to it. First question. Yeah, this made me laugh when I got this actually. When was the last white lie you told? So, I think the last white lie I told was to someone at the gym who basically asked for my opinion on how they looked. And I kind of told them something that was kind of true, but not quite true. Because, you know, we live in a civilized society. You can't always tell people what you think about them, especially when it comes to themselves physically. You have to sometimes meander your way around it. But yeah, that was the last white lie I told, to my memory. Next question. What changed in me to drive myself to write? And had it always been a passion? I think it's not one singular thing that drove me to write. As I mentioned in previous interviews, that it's an amalgamation of experiences and conversations and thoughts and feelings that come together within you to then create a thought of, you know what, I want to create something. I want to, make something amazing, create a story. And yeah, I think it's no single event. It's a combination of things. And yes, writing has always been a passion of mine. I think it's been sleeping inside me for a long time in terms of in this current form, but I've been writing poetry since I was very young. And I think although before it was maybe a bit more immature, poems about girls you had crushes on, whether they be in school or on the TV, it had always been there. And possibly from the fact that although I'm an extrovert and express myself sometimes very loudly in public, I think the deeper, possibly more important emotions are something that I internalize a lot, and writing helps me get that out. So next question. Hope that answers that for you. Next question, which I think was actually another one of your questions possibly, was what was the first story I could envisage becoming more than just a thought in my head? And I think the very first real story, is probably actually my first novel, The Atheist, because most of the stories that I've ever even just thought of, even briefly, have always been obviously when watching or experiencing something that I find to be excellent, whether that be an anime or Western Hollywood movie, or even a Congolese movie, let's say for example, that I find actually good. Which not that many, I'm not gonna lie, but there are a couple of really good ones. And I think when I watch these stories, I get a thirst to want to recreate something of similar excellence, and it probably comes from a place of envy and lust. And I get that in loads of other ways as well, whether that be sport or music. If I listen to an amazing song or see Zidane or Ronaldo do some kind of magnificent skill, I get very, very envious. I'm like, I wish I could do that. I want to be able to reproduce that. Like, how does it feel inside deeply to know that you can caress a ball in this way, or you can sing a note so beautifully? And I think that desire to want to recreate things of excellence is kind of how the first notion of creating a story of my own probably came to be. And well, one of the many ways in which it came to be, but that is, I think, one of the ways. So, hope that answered your question. Next question is, how have my experiences and heritage and travels influenced me as a writer? I think they've influenced me greatly, to be honest with you, because you can't express anything outwardly that you haven't experienced inwardly, or haven't digested and settled within yourself inwardly, because everything that I write, everything that anyone does comes from previous experiences. So stuff like, for example, my culture will find its way into my work in terms of character design, environments that I create, um, experiences that I gravitate towards, or plots that I gravitate towards. My heritage, I think, is simply in terms of maybe possibly even something as the descriptions I use, the metaphors I choose come from my experiences. So if I have an affinity for nature-based metaphors, possibly that comes from the fact that obviously I was born in the most nature-rich place there is, Africa. Again, this is obviously me making an educated guess about myself, which is why I like the question. It makes it very reflective. So I think that's how it influences my writing, and it always will. I think, as would any artist, whether it be music, painter, sculptor. I think who you are comes from where you are from, and who raised you. So yeah, so I think it influences me positively in my writing. So I hope that answers that for you. Next question is, of all my characters that I've created so far, which are you most like in terms of character and temperament? Now, there's another question that is similar to this, but I'll answer this one. I think I'm not like any of my characters individually. All my characters are based on different people that I've met, and basically I take personality traits, physical traits from various people I know very well or not so well, and try to create a unique individual, almost playing the role of some kind of pseudo god, because I think that creates characters that are, one, relatable because they come from real people, and two, more interesting to write and more interesting to read about, possibly because then it helps me avoid certain stereotypes. I think if I combined character traits from a white person, a black person, a rich person, a poor person, or a male or a female, if I combine these character traits together, it can create quite fascinating people, I like to think. But yeah, so that's how I create my characters. So I don't think I'm like any of them. But if I say who I was most like, I'd probably say Erin Sharapova, only because people keep telling me that it's a character based on me, even though it's actually based on a female friend of mine from Fitness First I used to work with, someone who I cared for deeply, and I like to think is still a good friend of mine now. And I think me and that person have similar personality traits in terms of, obvious things like we love to dance and sing, similar sense of humor, and maybe more subtle personality traits that possibly you guys are picking up on when you read Erin Sharapova, and the obvious thing that we're both personal trainers as well, which is good because it allows me to, I think, enrich the character with my personal training knowledge and personal training experiences, and also this the friend of mine, female friend of mine's personal training experiences as well. So yeah, Erin Sharapova, but not for the reasons that you think. That's who I'm probably most similar to. Next question. Sorry, got an eyelash on my phone there. Next question is, how do I deal with writer's block? Luckily, to be honest with you, I've never actually had real writer's block in terms of, not being unable to write for weeks and months. For me, the writer's block that I usually experience is more minuscule in scope, in terms of when I'm writing a metaphor or trying to create a sentence that I think flows very well. Sometimes what adjective do I use? Is the comma in the right place to give the sentence the pacing that I want? And I can be stuck on that for, a good few minutes. But I just To be honest with you, I deal with it by just attacking it head on. I sit there and I chip away at it. I try different forms, different put one noun here, one noun there, comma here, full stop there, until I figure out a way to create a sentence or paragraph that I think is beautiful and excellent to read and to hear. Next question. How long did it take me to write my first book, and how did I find the time? Very simple answer to that. It took me 2 years roughly, not including the painstaking task of rereading it to try and pick as many grammatical errors as I could, which I know some of you very, very astute readers will notice that it's not all of them, but 99% of them, okay? So I don't want to hear you drive because it's been proofread copious times. And yeah, so 2 years and some change. And how did I find the time? To be honest with you, I made the time, because in your day, if you have the drive, there is time. For example, on your lunch break, in between clients, when I was working full time as a PT, when you're sitting in your room, gazing at the wall, thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow, you can be spending that time to write. And yes, you'll have to sacrifice certain things, like you can't sit on WhatsApp for as long communicating with your friends, which is great fun and is important to do. But if you want to find the time to write and work full time and go to the gym and see girlfriends and whatnot, you have to make these sacrifices, and you can't ever do nothing. At no point did I ever do nothing. I just did something. I don't even know how to do nothing. My doing nothing is doing something, if that makes any kind of sense. But yeah, so I made time anywhere I could, basically. So final question, and the winner of the competition to become a character that I create in my next short. I keep doing this a lot. I don't know why. Maybe I think I'm some kind of king or queen or something, doing my royal subjects. But apologies if that seems very weird, but I keep doing it anyway. So yes, final question, and what I deem to be the most insightful question, even though this person slightly cheated by having multiple questions in one, but because the questions do follow on from each other and do make part of a larger question, I will accept it and grant this person the winner. They know who they are when they hear the question, and I'm not going to say their name because I want to see if people can actually guess who this person is. But you'll know who you are when I read the question, and congratulations. So, question: am I too controlled, holding back my real nature with the risk of exploding at some point? Are you the sum of these characters? Who are you? The atheist, the priest, or personal trainer Sharapova? So, am I too controlled? I think yes, in a way, but at the same time, most people are. I think to live in a civilized society, certain reactions have to be stifled and controlled. You can't insult every person that pisses you off as much as you want to. You can't cry whenever you feel upset. Sometimes you're at work, you have things to do, places to be, people to see. You can't just break down in some emotional pile of goo, because you have to live. You have to continue soldiering on through. So I think I do. I am too controlled to some extent, but it's necessary. It's necessary to proceed and move forward, as I think most people will agree to. Is there a risk of me exploding at some point? I think yes, but it's a risk worth taking, because if I want to achieve my goals, I have to curb certain primitive reactions, I guess. If I want to ascend to a higher career level, again, you can't give into your basic instincts. And hopefully when it does all come out in one go, it will come out in a constructive way, i.e. on a football pitch, in the form of me hitting the ball as hard as I can into the top corner, or it will come out in a piece of writing, like I did, for example, in my autobiographical prose about my father leaving. And so you just have to hope it comes out constructively and not in a devastating fashion, which it can do sometimes. But I don't know, I think that is just a human condition. You do what you can to survive, And am I some of these characters? I would say, linking it to the previous question I answered, in some ways, yes, because parts of my personality are simulated into these characters, and just as other people's personalities are in those characters to create something unique. So I guess to answer that question, yes, I'm the sum of all of my characters, not just the three that I'm about to mention now. So am I the atheist, the priest, and personal trainer Sharapova? I am not an atheist in the sense that I do believe in God, but I'm not a fully practicing Christian at the moment. So in some ways, my doubts about the religious institution could fall into the atheist category if you're not going to be pedantic about the word atheist. And am I the priest? Well, everyone has a dark side, but I don't think my dark side is quite as deep or disturbed as the priest's is. So I think maybe there's a small, very small bit of the priest in me in terms of possibly the observing of pain in an analytical way occasionally as fuel for future endeavors, most likely writing, or better understanding of the human condition. And personal trainer Erin Sharapova, I guess in terms of her knowledge of personal training, I'm probably going to draw a lot from my own knowledge because it'll be easier than continuously asking my former colleague about her current continued experiences of personal training. Of course, I can talk about things that we've both experienced together whilst working together, but most likely that side of things will come from my own knowledge. So yes and no, but hopefully that's answered you enough. So I hope you're happy that your question is won, and you look forward to seeing the character I create of you in my next short story installment. So yeah, that's all. It's a wrap. Thank you everyone for your questions. Sorry for any questions I didn't have time to answer. You know my phone number, my email address, my blog. You follow my blog as well, so please feel free to fire questions away of any type, of any form. I will answer it as often and honest as possible. Sorry if I rambled. I tried to do this unrehearsed so that it would have a nice, interesting kind of feel to it, vibrant feel to it. So thank you, and have a nice day, evening. Enjoy the sun. The Lord has blessed us with some sunshine. Enjoy it. Peace out. Bye.
It's one good,